The U.S. economy is shifting, and while some states are thriving, others are falling behind fast. Rising debt, failing infrastructure, budget deficits, and a shrinking workforce are just a few of the financial problems hitting these states hard. Are you living in a state that's struggling? Could it be time to pack up and move? Some of these states may surprise you. Stick around as we break down 15 states that are on a financial downward spiral, and what's really causing their decline. Before we dive in, hit like, subscribe for more eye-opening videos, and let's jump right in. 1. Mississippi, the nation's poorest state. Mississippi has long held the unwanted title of America's poorest state, and the situation isn't improving. With a poverty rate of nearly 20% and the lowest median income in the U.S. at just $54,200, it's no surprise that economic hardship is everywhere. The job market is weak, relying mostly on agriculture and low-wage factory jobs that can't keep up with modern economic demands. Many workers struggle to earn a livable wage, and opportunities for high-paying jobs are scarce. The problem is worsened by a crumbling infrastructure, from potholed roads to failing water systems, making everyday life difficult and scaring away potential businesses. Public education is among the worst in the country, and rural hospitals keep shutting down, leaving residents with fewer healthcare options. Meanwhile, budget cuts continue to cripple public services, ensuring that poverty and financial hardship remain entrenched. Mississippi isn't just falling behind, it's stuck in a cycle of poverty, low wages, and failing infrastructure with no clear way out. If drastic action isn't taken, the state will continue its financial freefall. 2. West Virginia, a shrinking population and failing economy. West Virginia was once coal country, but as the coal industry declined, so did the state's economy. Instead of adapting and diversifying its industries, the state remained reliant on mining, leaving thousands of workers jobless. The population is shrinking, businesses are leaving, and the tax base is disappearing, making it even harder for the state to pay for essential services like roads, schools, and public infrastructure. Young professionals are leaving in droves, seeking better opportunities in states with stronger economies. On top of that, West Virginia has one of the highest opioid addiction rates in the country, creating an additional financial burden on the healthcare system. Rural hospitals are closing, and public health services are underfunded, making it even harder for struggling communities to recover. Without serious economic innovation and investment in new industries, West Virginia is stuck in a downward spiral that is only getting worse. 3. Louisiana, a state hit by disaster after disaster. Louisiana's economy leans heavily on oil and gas, and while this industry has made some residents rich, it's left the state vulnerable to economic downturns. When oil prices crash, jobs vanish, and budget shortfalls follow. Beyond energy, Louisiana has one of the highest crime rates in the nation, which discourages businesses from investing. The state also has a long history of corruption and budget mismanagement, making it difficult for leaders to properly allocate resources where they're needed most. Natural disasters are another constant financial strain on Louisiana. Hurricanes, flooding, and extreme weather events cause billions in damage every year, making it even harder for residents and businesses to stay afloat. Climate change is only making this worse, forcing many people to relocate due to unlivable conditions. Unless Louisiana diversifies its economy, strengthens infrastructure, and reduces crime, it will continue to struggle financially for years to come. 4. New Mexico, high unemployment and weak job market. New Mexico is a beautiful state, but economically, it's a disaster. With one of the highest unemployment rates in the country, many residents struggle to find stable, high-paying jobs. The economy depends on government jobs, tourism, and oil and gas, but these industries are unstable. Government budgets fluctuate, tourism is seasonal, and oil and gas prices rise and fall unpredictably. Meanwhile, major corporations and tech industries have largely skipped New Mexico, opting for states with stronger workforces like Texas and Arizona. Education is another major issue. New Mexico ranks near the bottom for public education, leaving many young people ill-equipped for higher-paying careers. This leads to a brain drain, where skilled workers leave the state, worsening economic conditions. If New Mexico doesn't improve its education system, attract businesses, and create better job opportunities, it will remain one of the poorest states in the U.S. 5. Kentucky, failing to adapt to the future. Kentucky was once a coal and manufacturing powerhouse, but today, those industries no longer provide stable employment. As coal jobs disappear, thousands of workers have been left without a clear path forward. The state is also battling an opioid crisis, which has led to a reduced workforce and increased healthcare costs. Many Kentuckians are either unable to work or struggling to find jobs that provide a livable wage. Budget deficits have forced cuts to education, healthcare, and infrastructure, making it even harder for new businesses to thrive. Roads are falling apart, schools are underfunded, and the lack of investment drives away potential employers. Without serious reform and diversification of industries, Kentucky risks falling even further behind. 6. Arkansas, low wages and high poverty. Arkansas may be known for its natural beauty, but financially, it's one of the weakest states in the U.S. The economy relies heavily on agriculture, which provides low wages and few opportunities for career growth. High-paying jobs in tech, finance, and healthcare are limited, forcing many residents into low-income, blue-collar work. Arkansas also ranks poorly in education, meaning many workers lack the skills needed to attract better-paying industries. Job opportunities are scarce, and many young people leave the state in search of a better future. If Arkansas doesn't modernize its economy and invest in workforce development, it will continue struggling to keep up with the rest of the country. Seven. South Carolina, rising costs and low wages. South Carolina has seen massive population growth in recent years, but that hasn't translated into a strong economy for everyone. The state's poverty rate sits at 14.7%, and while the median income is around $67,800, rising housing costs and stagnant wages make it harder for residents to keep up. The economy is heavily dependent on tourism and manufacturing, two industries that don't always guarantee stable, high-paying jobs. Many South Carolinians work in service industry roles at hotels, restaurants, and retail stores, where wages remain low compared to the cost of living. Meanwhile, manufacturing provides some high-paying jobs, but those positions are limited and often located far from major cities. Another big issue? Rural areas are being left behind. While cities like Charleston and Greenville are thriving, smaller towns struggle with limited healthcare access, underfunded schools, and few job opportunities. South Carolina also ranks below average in public education, making it harder to attract companies that rely on a skilled workforce. With housing costs skyrocketing and wages barely increasing, many residents feel financially trapped. If South Carolina doesn't address these issues, it risks becoming a state where only the wealthy can afford to live comfortably while others struggle just to get by. #8. Tennessee, an economy that only works for some. Tennessee is experiencing a population boom, but its economy isn't working for everyone. While cities like Nashville and Chattanooga have thriving job markets, much of the state is struggling with low wages and a lack of economic opportunities. The lack of a state income tax is often seen as a plus, but it comes at a cost. Public services are severely underfunded. This means poorly maintained roads, struggling schools, and limited healthcare access, especially in rural areas where hospitals continue to shut down. The economy relies heavily on tourism, healthcare, and retail, which means many jobs are in low-wage industries. Tennessee also has a huge wealth gap, with certain areas thriving while others struggle to get by. Housing prices are rising quickly, outpacing wage growth, making it harder for working-class families to stay afloat. Unless Tennessee invests in infrastructure, education, and economic diversity, the divide between thriving urban centers and struggling rural areas will only grow, leaving more people behind in an increasingly expensive state. #9. Alabama, low wages and high poverty. Alabama has a poverty rate of nearly 16% and a median household income of just $62,400, making it one of the poorest states in the nation. The biggest problem? A lack of economic mobility. Many jobs in Alabama are in manufacturing, agriculture, and retail, but wages in these industries haven't kept pace with inflation. While some parts of the state, like Huntsville, are growing due to the tech and aerospace industries, most of Alabama remains stuck in an economic rut. Education is another major issue. Alabama consistently ranks near the bottom in national education rankings. Underfunded schools and low teacher salaries mean many students aren't getting the skills they need to compete in a modern job market. This, in turn, makes it harder for the state to attract high-paying industries that require an educated workforce. On top of that, Alabama's infrastructure is crumbling. Poor road conditions, aging bridges, and failing public services make life more difficult for residents and less appealing for businesses. If the state doesn't invest in education, job training, and infrastructure, it risks falling even further behind. 10. Oklahoma, stuck in an economic boom and bust cycle. Oklahoma's economy heavily depends on oil and gas, which has created an unstable financial situation for the state. When energy prices are high, things are good, but when they crash, the state's finances take a nosedive. The poverty rate is 15.3%, and the median household income is only $62,400, well below the national average. Many Oklahomans work in low-wage retail and service jobs, and even those in energy-related careers face the constant threat of layoffs whenever oil prices drop. Oklahoma's public services are also underfunded, with one of the worst healthcare systems in the country. Rural hospitals are shutting down, and many residents struggle to afford medical care. Meanwhile, the state's public schools rank among the lowest in the U.S., leading to low graduation rates and a lack of skilled workers for higher-paying industries. Without economic diversification and investment in education, Oklahoma will remain stuck in an unstable economic cycle with few opportunities for long-term financial growth. Missouri, crime, debt, and economic uncertainty. Missouri's economy is a mixed bag, with cities like St. Louis and Kansas City attracting businesses, while rural parts of the state struggle with high unemployment and low wages. The poverty rate is 13.2%, and the median household income is around $65,800, but economic disparity continues to widen. Crime is a major issue, particularly in St. Louis, which has one of the highest crime rates in the country. This scares off potential businesses and makes it harder for Missouri to attract new investment. Missouri's state budget is another problem. Public services are underfunded, leading to poorly maintained infrastructure and struggling schools. Many rural communities lack access to healthcare, and job opportunities outside the big cities are few and far between. Without serious investment in public safety, education, and job creation, Missouri's economy will remain unstable, making it harder for residents to get ahead. 12. North Carolina, a cost of living crisis. North Carolina used to be one of the most affordable states in the U.S., but that's quickly changing. The cost of living has skyrocketed, especially in cities like Charlotte and Raleigh, where housing prices have surged. The median household income is around $71,000, but for many residents, that's not enough to keep up with rising costs. Wages aren't increasing fast enough, leaving many families struggling to afford rent, groceries, and basic necessities. While North Carolina has a strong economy, that prosperity isn't evenly distributed. Many rural areas are still economically stagnant, with few job opportunities and underfunded schools. The state's public education system ranks below average, making it harder for young people to compete in a rapidly evolving job market. Without addressing income inequality, housing affordability, and educational investment, North Carolina risks becoming a state where only the wealthy can thrive while the rest struggle to keep up. Pennsylvania, a state in debt. Pennsylvania's economy isn't collapsing, but debt is a growing issue. The state faces massive pension liabilities and infrastructure problems, leading to budget shortfalls and economic strain. The cost of living is rising, particularly in cities like Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, while rural areas struggle with job losses as industries shift away from traditional manufacturing. The state's population is aging, which means fewer working-age residents to support the economy. Without attracting new businesses and young professionals, Pennsylvania could see a significant financial crisis in the coming years. 14. Michigan, still recovering from industrial decline. Michigan has made a comeback since the Great Recession, but many areas are still struggling. Detroit and Flint remain in economic distress, with high poverty rates and low wages. Manufacturing isn't what it used to be, and the state needs to attract new industries to remain competitive. 15. California, a housing and tax crisis. California's high taxes, housing crisis, and cost of living make it one of the hardest states to afford. Many middle-class families are leaving, searching for more affordable options elsewhere. The state relies on high-income earners to fund public services, but with businesses and residents fleeing, California's financial future remains uncertain. Many of these states face job losses, budget deficits, and rising costs of living, but can they turn things around? What do you think? Do you live in one of these states? Drop a comment below. Like and subscribe for more in-depth videos, and stay tuned for more insights on the changing U.S. economy.